A Welshman, an Irishman, and an Irish woman meet in a bistro. This is not the classic British Isles joke. This is a story that happened, but you'll see why I cast it in this way. Okay, one evening, late September, I think not long after COVID, but the truth of the story lasts. Eating in a really nice French restaurant around the corner from where we live. And there was an Irish couple sitting at the table next to us. And if you've been to France, and certainly it's true in Bordeaux, the tables are set close to each other, both for the economy of scale. And we were eating sur la terrasse outside, and so there's a limited space and there's a premium and they're popular and what have you. But also, there's a couple of things working here. The French, certainly the Bordelais, it's almost a convention of public life here, is that one should never eat alone. And there's all kinds of interesting reasons why that is. It's a snapshot view of the Bordeaux way of life. You should eat with someone just because it's good to eat with someone. You eat more slowly, you chew more slowly, you talk, you listen, the meal goes on much longer, and you're outside and it may be sunny, and the conviviality of the people around you. This is a very Bordeaux thing. I think it's true of people everywhere, but in Bordeaux it's particularly conspicuous. We love doing it. So, at dinner, it's my father was a butcher. My better half at the time was a pescatarian. So there was fish on the menu, but I was having beef, and as my father was an expert in beef, as a child I learned about beef. I know my way around cuts of cow. However, the story. Irish couple, Irish sounding couple, border difficult to call, Northern Ireland or the South, the Republic. So I let it run a bit and listened to them talk, and at one point I sussed that they were probably Catholics, wherever they were vis-a-vis the border. And as it turned out, they were from the South but had lived in the North and had now moved south again, so I wasn't that far off. But the reason for the religious thing, first of all, one doesn't want to make mistakes, faux pas, political or otherwise, and especially when someone you don't know anyone, you don't know these people. But I sussed what they were. So we began talking about the food. And as it turned out, this northern southern Irishman was a butcher. No, Irish beef can be excellent. So I thought, okay, this is a little task. And so then I explained that my father had been a butcher. And so he said, all right, the food hasn't arrived yet. What should I expect? And I said, thought just a bit. Do you remember First Holy Communion? And he looked at me slightly puzzled, and I said, a spiritual experience. Ah, the steak arrived. He had to cut a piece off, put it in his mouth, began to chew, and closed his eyes. And then, after a suitable interval, he opened his eyes, looked at me, and said, that was a spiritual experience. Now, this led to a discussion of the Bordeaux approach to food. But the punchline was delivered in a little duet I had with his wife, who listened to all this very quietly, and then eventually, she didn't quite raise her hand and ask, but she said, what supermarket do you shop at? And I was taken aback, and I gathered my thoughts and said, what's a supermarket? And now there's the point of the story.